Hi, everyone. I'm Sheila Hay, and I'm so excited to welcome you today to Tuesday Training with Onyx and Sheila. This is a magical day. It is mine and Onyx's 100th episode together, and we teamed up to bring you a super duper surprise. So, enough of me. I'm going to kick Florida to Miss Onyx and let her talk with you guys for a few minutes, and then we are going to get started
Woo
with
woo!
magic. Over to
Awesome.
Florida.
Thank you, Miss Sheila. Aloha, aloha, aloha. We have a really special call today, you all. We have David Schmidt with us, and I'm really excited. It's been a little over 2.5 years ago that I first met David, and I think you all know my great love and admiration for him, and just not just for who he is as a person, but all that he cares about each one of us. I know that he's a man that just wants each one of us to have life that's just a little bit better. And with the ability to connect together through this amazing community, through this incredible patch that he's brought to us, through this amazing technology, we've been able to make some really beautiful things together. And there's so much more to come. So today, Sheila and I thought we would do this as a question and answer session. We got lots of questions from all of you, and we had to pare it down. And I'm sorry if your question doesn't get asked, but know that we're trying to feed the group as a whole and get as much information and let David share as much, and let you all, if you haven't spent any time with David, feel his heart, see who he is as a man, and just to know that you're in the right company. You know, building a network marketing business is so different than, you know, getting a job for Google or IBM or, you know, one of these places where you physically go into work and you're at an office. In network marketing, as we teach in this group, you built this business in your nooks and crannies of your life, and you don't have an office that to go to. You have this call every Tuesday that we can all jump on and be together. And certainly this team has lots of great calls and lots of great leaders and lots of people connecting. But it's still all about you all finding connections. So to me, when you have a chance to connect with David and see the man that's really behind all of this, I think it's such a blessing, because this is not like any other network marketing company. To me, this is really a science company that happens to sell it through a network marketing aspect. But the Quantum Field team, I think you all know, we're one of the fastest growing teams in the company, and we do exclusively focus on building using the X39. So that hasn't changed. I'm recommending and continue to recommend that whenever you share the product, share X39 exclusively. Let people fall in love with X39s first. Confused people do nothing. Now, I know there's lots of great patches, and a lot of the questions came in about so many other patches, and I wanted to allow you all, especially to hear from David about the different patches. But when building business, please focus on X39. This is what works. Let your people fall in love with X39. After 90 days, if they're having a great result, which most people do, and then they want to try an X49, or they want to try an Eon, or they want to try glutathione, well, great. Let them fall in love with some other things. But now they know that the patches work. So, David, are you there?
Hey, Onyx, I'm here.
Hi, David. So
Wonderful.
nice to see you.
Yeah, wonderful to see you. And I guess first, many congratulations to you and Sheila. That's awesome. Great landmark to hit. And then secondly, you know, I found out the other day, like many people, about what had happened with Dr. Stacy and her daughter. So I had spoken with Emily and Lori, and we're going to be making a donation, you know, to wherever she would like that to go. But we want to show some support. As you know, she's been amazing. She's been a tremendous leader in building the business and the community. So in this time of need, we want to be there to help her and her family. So we're going to be making a donation for that.
Thank you. I'm sure that she will appreciate it. I'm sure her family and her daughter will. It's, as she said in her message, it's what Taylor would have wanted. So I think it's beautiful to be able to pay it forward. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm so excited you're here and you're in the hot seat.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so some of the questions I might know the answers to, but because it's you, I would love for people to hear direct from you how you would answer some of these questions. So Can you give us a brief description of how these amazing patches actually work?
Sure. So as a matter of fact, the last LifeWave Connect that Emily and I did together was on Alavita, and I took the liberty of getting into a little bit more detail about this. So for anyone in your team that would like to see a really in-depth, clinically based presentation on this, it's in the last LifeWave Connect webinar we did on Alavita. And we did that because we had just received a third-party report from an independent lab that was revalidating how the patches emit and reflect light and stimulate the surface of the skin. So this is known as phototherapy and then also photobiomodulation. So really good way to think about this is that especially, you're down in South Florida where you're getting more sun than everybody else. You've got plenty of vitamin D, you got plenty of melanin, and so your body's making all kinds of antioxidants, your hormones, are more balanced when you're getting sunlight. Of course, we know that this is linked to feeling happy and good, and absence of light can put people into a state of depression. So this is all based on the principle that when we stimulate the skin with light, we can produce a favorable biochemical change in the body. So going out in the sun, we can use UV light to elevate vitamin D. Sunlight will also increase testosterone levels in men when you put sunlight on the neck and shoulders, the androgen receptors. And we know in the absence of light, the body will release melatonin, helping us get a good night's sleep. So what I did was, through a lot of prayer and guidance, come up with a system where we could tap into this mechanism and use the natural mechanism that the body uses for communication. So by stimulating the skin with light and specific wavelengths of light, we can produce favorable biochemical changes. So you put the patch on, it stimulates the skin with light, and in the case of X39, it elevates copper peptide, which activates the stem cells. So what's so exciting about this, of course, is that we don't need to pay thousands of dollars necessarily for stem cell injection. They can work together, but from a day-to-day practice, we can activate our stem cells and get all of the health benefits associated with that, all by stimulating the skin with light.
It's beautiful. So at convention last year, and convention this year, in case you guys don't know, is coming up in the second week of August. And if you're not scheduled, I'd love to see you there. I'm going to be there, and I like giving lots and lots and lots of hugs. Everybody knows that about me. But at convention last year, you introduced a brand new patch called the X49. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between the two? And does the X49 also activate new stem cell production?
Yeah, so the X39 and X49 are designed to work together. And as you properly said, people should start with X39. So that's the parent product, and that's the one that's going to have the most broad benefits for the body. So X39 elevates a tripeptide called GHK, and GHK is a copper binding peptide, so it will readily bind with copper, forming GHK-Cu. And this peptide, why it's so extraordinary, is that it can reset thousands of genes in the body to a more youthful state. And as a result, people can experience more energy, the stem cells get activated to support the natural healing process. And because those stem cells are reset to a younger, healthier state, even people that are older, 70s, 80s, when there's no stem cell activity, they can benefit from this product. X49 elevates a daughter peptide of GHK. It's called AHKCU. So given that these are tripeptides, GHK is a glycine, histidine, lysine. So these are amino acids that bind together. And X49 is AHK, which is an alanine, histidine, lysine. So glycine is found throughout the entire body, whereas AHK is really, an alanine is going to be found in more selective tissue. So we would find AHK in muscle fiber, we'd find it in the heart, and we'd also find it in the brain. So the benefits of X49 are very powerful, but they're more highly focused. So in other words, what our studies find as the first benefit is that we see muscle gain and fat loss with X49. We also see improvements in health of the cardiovascular system. We even see a mild reduction in blood pressure from using both X39 and X49. And you may have guessed, because I'm running on and on and on, there's an improvement in cognitive function with X39 and X49. I'll give you a little bit of information that's kind of interesting. We're looking at a technology that I've invented now that I haven't talked about yet, but it's going towards age reversal. And one of the big benefits that people get from X39 and X49 is an improvement in brain function. So this means a person's memory will improve, a person's speed at which they process information improves, the recall improves, reaction times improve. So we get to keep our cognitive function as we age, but we're already experimenting with something that goes one step beyond that, which is we have a method now to actually improve intelligence. And so I'm going to talk about that at convention this year as a sneak peek on a new product that we're developing, that if you want to increase your IQ, your total intelligence, this would take someone from what we're talking about from a normal range. You could be of normal intelligence, and it will bump you up to either the high end of normal or up into beyond that. So wow. I'm really excited about where we're going with this. Plus, there's other health benefits associated with that.
Always. All of your products have multiple health benefits that we don't get to talk about. But
you know, I don't like, as you, I don't like the direction the government's going in. And, but anyway, I don't want to get off on that trail, but there's something else with that helps in that regard. That's pretty cool. So.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So one of the other questions that came in is, do X39 and X49 help with 5G protection?
So the preliminary evidence says yes, but the jury is still out on it. So I came up with this idea of forming a biological Faraday cage. And so a Faraday cage is typically going to be made of like a copper screen that's grounded to the earth, and it shields out electromagnetic radiation. So when you want to do an experiment in the absence of an electromagnetic field, you would put something inside a Faraday cage. Well, what's interested me with X39 is that this peptide binds with copper to a very, very high affinity, more than other peptides, and the same thing with AHK. So the concept was, if we elevated the presence of these peptides, and they are going to get elevated in the skin, could we shield electromagnetic radiation like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and 5G? And in the pilot studies that we've done, what it shows is that within about 3 days of people using these patches, their susceptibility and response to 5G diminishes. So it's very dramatic. If you take someone that is electromagnetically sensitive, where they get very intense pain around, let's say, a microwave transmitter, they go on these patches for about 3 days, and that goes away. Wow. So we are seeing definitely an impact. There's also a side benefit that I'm going to mention since we're in summer here in Florida. And that is what we found a little bit by accident. I have some Irish blood. I'm mostly German and Italian, but I had an Irish grandmother. And so my skin is apparently very Irish. So I go out in the sun and I would get burned from when I was a kid, and I've had some very bad memories of bad sunburns. And I found anecdotally, when I was living in California, I went out in the sun and I went right to a tan. And I thought that was really bizarre. And then the effect repeated. And anyway, we found out through time that copper peptide by itself, and there are studies on this, shields electromagnetic radiation. It was done in a study looking to protect women that have breast cancer and are going through radiation. So in any case, that's a side benefit people will find from using X39 is they may not sunburn as easily.
Interesting. Interesting. Yep. Okay, now, well, I'd like to pig you the whole call. I can't. I got to share you with Sheila. So Sheila, you're up, baby.
Thank you so much. David, I just have to say, first off, it is such an honor to speak with you. I got to hug you at the 2020 convention and tell you thank you for the miracle that you created, truly, because it's changed my life and I walk without a cane. So
that's amazing. And the pleasure is mine. And God's the one that creates the miracles. I'm happy to be a facilitator. Let's put it that way.
Well, by you saying that, you have just led into my first question. Onyx has told us that she thinks, which I also agree with, that you receive downloads for your technology. And we just want to know, is that true? Do you sit and meditate? Do you, are you out playing golf and then all of a sudden you get this brilliant idea? How do you get these ideas?
Well, I was laughing at the idea I would have time to play golf. It's miniature golf, maybe. But no, my work schedule is I work more hours now than ever before. So I'm definitely a self-admitted workaholic at this point. But yeah, I think first that it's really important in life to turn to God. There can be points where we all lose our way, and we go through rough times and we experience some heartaches and some tragedy, but it's really important in life to turn to God, look for answers, and just remember that we're God's children. God loves us and wants the best for us, and that by following natural law and following the guidance that God provides in his word, that we can find peace and happiness. That doesn't mean, we're still living in the world, so we're going to have trials, and, trials are okay. They're obstacles for us to overcome and learn from. So everything, that I've been a part of, I would say, comes directly through answers that I've received through prayer. So I don't want to take credit for that. And over the years, definitely my viewpoint has changed. I used to think I was a really good inventor, and then I realized, I'm not really inventing anything. I'm doing this through prayer. I'm given answers and direction, and then it's up to me, to take action on that. So something happens and then people can benefit. So yeah, and sometimes it'll be, I'll wake up in the morning, I pray before I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning and I'll be given an idea and I write it down and then pursue that. There are times when I just get I would call it a flash of insight. That's very, very common, where I'll just be going about my day and an idea will come flying in and I'll be like, all right, thank you, Lord. I appreciate that. Now let me see what I can do with it. And then there's other times, it's funny. I had last week was easily in the top 3 best weeks for me as an inventor in my life. There were some incredible discoveries. There was one specific discovery that was made in our lab last week that was pretty earth-shattering. And some other experiments we were doing that turned out really well. And sometimes I've tried to think now in the past week, where do I go with this? And I feel I'm not getting an answer. It's like a black wall. And it's like, and the message is, okay, you need to stop here, work on this before you go to the next step. And, the goal with all of these things is we're looking at providing technology that can free people, liberate people so they can have optimum health. The whole goal with reversing age, which is our goal, is really to give people, put people in an optimum state of health. So if the cells are young and healthy, then we're not getting sick, and we can have, a vibrant and fulfilling life, and be in control of our own destiny and not have to worry about, some of these pandemics and other things that come up. So, yeah, I would say that I've gone probably beyond your question a little bit. That probably encapsulates it.
It's a beautiful, beautiful answer. And I just want to say to you, David, that I am a science geek, and this is tough because to me, you are a modern day Leonardo da Vinci or Tesla. Okay. And truthfully, I mean that from my heart. And I just wonder, and Onyx, I'm throwing this one out there. Did Tesla influence you at all in any way, or growing up, did you study any other scientists, Da Vinci, Tesla, inventors?
Oh, well, you picked my top two. And I for sure you picked my top two. I would have a hard time picking between the two of them. I would probably edge out Tesla over Leonardo da Vinci, but that is only a product of the generations that they lived in. If Leonardo had lived in the 1800s or the 1900s, then he would have had access to more technology, probably would have done other things. But, the brilliance of both of them and the respect and admiration for nature and to follow natural law was certainly all there. Victor Schauberger might be another one as far as an inventor that I would really admire because of his work with nature and the flow of water. But yeah, I've read everything I could about Tesla, and a number of my inventions are based on Tesla technology. I have one I'll show you actually.
Awesome.
So this is one that I have quite a few patents on, and this is what we call a double helix conductor, and it's meant to mimic the energy field around DNA. And what we found with it is this was used in our early stem cell research. And what we found with it is that we can not only activate stem cells, but we could dramatically increase the rate of protein synthesis in the body, so healing occurs much more rapidly. And I came to this eventually through the study of Tesla coils, although that is not a Tesla coil. And what's interesting about the modern Tesla coil is that it really is not the Tesla coil. The true Tesla coil is a pancake. And you can see this in photos from Tesla's lab. And so the conical type of or cylindrical Tesla coils do not produce the same effect as a pancake coil. And there's a reason why that information has been manipulated and changed, because there's magic occurs in a pancake coil. So in any case, I started doing some interesting things with this that I'm not sure if Tesla did, but part of the magic of this is that we twist the copper wire to a very specific ratio. And as a result, these coils, they'll propagate both electromagnetic and non-electromagnetic fields.
Wow.
Propagates a longitudinal wave. And we found that the combination of these waves interacts with the body in such a way that they can turn on processes that are extremely beneficial. So we have an age reversal technology I'll be talking about at convention that people can get pretty excited about. And I have a video that is going to blow people away. I guarantee you've never seen anything like this. I contacted one of the world authorities in this field, which I won't get into now. And he said to me, "Oh my God, I've never seen anything like this before." I said, "Okay, I must be on the right track." So I'm going to show. I took a time lapse photo of this new thing in my lab, and it's really cool. So, and it has to do with applying something like what I just showed to you to age reversal. So yeah, I'm going to unveil that at convention and do some other things that are going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I got to say, you just went up a million stairs in my book because you like Tesla and Da Vinci. So woo, and Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next question for you is that we know X39 elevates GHK copper peptide, X49 elevates AHK copper peptide, Alavita elevates epithalamin peptide, and so do all patches elevate a peptide, and what peptide would Aeon elevate?
Oh boy, that's going to be a difficult one to answer. Because, with Eon, we don't normally share the peptide. I'll do it, but I'll do it with a disclaimer.
Okay.
So the first thing is the patches were not at first designed to elevate peptides. They were designed to enhance mitochondrial function. So, back in the late 90s, when I was first looking at this, the idea was that we wanted to turn on fat burning. And what I thought was, since this was originally developed for the Navy, was that we had the crew of a mini sub, and they were going on these missions, and they had to stay awake for 30 hours, 60 hours at a time. And how do we improve their energy and stamina without them having to resort to caffeine and different pep pills? And so the general idea is that if we could turn on beta oxidation, turn on fat burning, we could give them more energy naturally. And so I started to look at wavelengths of light that could do that. And there's a number of wavelengths of light in the infrared spectra and also in the visible spectra that will do it. One thing that people are often surprised to find out, I don't really talk about it too much because it can be somewhat confusing, but the human body will also emit UV light, and the patches respond to that. This was actually first discovered by a Russian scientist, that there were wavelengths of UV light being emitted by onions, of all things. And then later on, it was found that the human body does this as well, comes out of the DNA. So as a result, there is a way to do age reversal using UV light or UV wavelengths, but it's got to be done properly. Otherwise, it results in damage to the DNA, which is kind of self-evident because that's what happens with when people get too much sunlight, right? They can end up getting skin cancer if they get too much. But this is all to say that UV light does in fact have interaction with DNA. So in any case, I guess that was going down a little bit of a rabbit hole with that.
So the next question we have for you, David, is does extreme temperature such as 120 degrees in Arizona?
Onyx, I'm sorry. I did want to finish answering that one question.
No problem. No problem.
So yeah, so this was all to say, so apologies. So this was all to say that energy and patches and LifeWave are designed to optimize mitochondrial function by increasing fat burning. Eon, on the other hand, and most of the other patches are designed to elevate other peptides. With Eon, it's a peptide called phenylacetylglutamine, which is a peptide produced in the liver. And the reason to be excited about that peptide is because it induces a response from the primitive immune system And as a result, we see an increase in superoxide dismutase, SOD, and we also see a corresponding decrease in a broad spectrum of inflammatory markers. So C-reactive proteins, inflammatory cytokines, homocysteine, lipid peroxides, fibrinogen, they all come down with the application of EON. The reason why we don't talk about the peptide is that there is a lot of research online using that peptide to treat a specific disease, and we don't want to make a claim that that patch can treat that disease. So that's why we've avoided that over the years.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing.
All right. Sorry, Onyx.
Thank you. You're perfect. So does the extreme temperatures, such as 120 degrees in Arizona, activate the patches before they are worn? And the second part of that question is, why are we encouraging everybody to only wear the patches for 12 hours instead of a full 24?
Yeah, so we addressed this problem back in 2005. So I put a heat stabilizer in the patches to protect them during shipment. You don't want to subject them to those kind of temperatures for, a long period of time, but for shipping, we found that it's okay. So yeah, and if someone had a question as to whether or not the patch was okay, they could always return it and get a replacement, and that would really be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 12 hours?
Yeah,
Why
so 12
are we
hours.
teaching everyone 12 hours?
Yeah, so 12 hours. So there is a concept in phototherapy, or there's a phenomena that shows up, and it's the body's adaptive response to light or to chemical stimuli. So if you keep stimulating the body, it will eventually stop responding. A really good example is when people start to take caffeine as a source of energy, right? They take 1 cup of coffee, they get their 80 milligrams of caffeine, they get a jolt out of it, but the next time, you do that for a week, the next time you go back for a cup of coffee, 1 cup doesn't do it anymore, you have to take more. So with light therapy, if you were to continue stimulating the body all the time, it would eventually stop responding. So what we found is that if you wear the patches for 12 hours and then take them off, the body continues to respond. So that's why we recommend the 12 hours on, 12 hours off.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Sheila, you're up.
We understand that we do not need FDA approval since we're not a drug company. And can you elaborate on the train of thought of how we are in a category that's considered FDA friendly?
Yeah, so back in 2015, the FDA started a category called general wellness. And, the FDA, like many government agencies, they're understaffed and they want to focus on their priorities. And certainly COVID has changed that quite a bit, for the FDA and the NIH and the CDC. So FDA will put most of their time and focus and manpower into drug development review and also medical device review. And then when they have low risk devices where there are predicates, that will go into class 1, which is a self-declared. So like a tongue depressor is a classic example of something that, is harmless and you don't need FDA approval and you just need to manufacture it as a medical product. Well, the FDA said, look, there are so many things that are out there that are safe, that can improve overall energy flow through the body and improve quality of sleep. We don't want to review all these submissions, so we'll just create a category called general wellness. And if your device meets the criteria in general wellness, then you just self-declare, you keep your manufacturing documents, and then if the FDA audits you or reviews you, which they will every 1 or 2 years, then you just present that to them. So that's the category that we're in. We make our products at FDA registered facilities. And in Ireland, it's the Irish Medicine Board. And they'll come in and they'll review us once every year or two. But we don't have an issue with our claims because we have the clinical studies to support them. And also, we don't make any medical claims. We just keep it, very low risk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've just started, and I'm following the system, and I'm using and introducing just X39. So I'm now through the first 90 days. I've fallen in love. Should I be wearing X39 only during the day for 12 hours or only at night? And then when I if I decide to introduce X49 to try this combo, am I wearing them at the same time, or am I wearing one during the day or one during the night? What do you recommend after that first 90-day period?
Yeah, so we have done our clinical studies with using X39 and X49 during the day, and that's where we see statistical significance, but that doesn't mean it's the only way that people can use them. So I would say follow the instructions, use both of them during the day. If people want to experiment with them at night, it's okay, but we know as a practical matter, people using them during the day, that they'll get results. Really important thing I would stress is that with X39, generally speaking, over 85% of the population are going to respond. X39, because it's formed with glycine, histidine, and lysine, and also copper. One reason that someone might not respond is that they have a poor diet that's lacking in protein or micronutrients, and they're not going to get the best results. So somebody starting with LifeWave, they might want to review, hey, do I have the best diet? Am I supplementing where necessary, like, with a multivitamin or a mineral supplement? So those things will be important. When you add X49, it's a bit different. And the reason is because, number one, first, given that it's based off of alanine, alanine is found naturally in meat and dairy products. So if someone were a vegan, I would recommend that they take a beta alanine supplement, which is cheap and readily available, to make sure that they have the amino acid in their body to make the AHK with. The other thing is that we strongly encourage exercise, regular resistance training, because you can't just put X49 on and expect to build strength and muscle size. If that's what you're going for, you have to exercise. Good news is there's a study that just came out today from Australia. We're going to post this on our social media. And it's that for those of you that want to burn fat, but you hate cardio, there's a new study coming out that shows if you do resistance training and you're on a calorie restricted diet, you can lose just as much fat as you would on a treadmill for 30 or 40 minutes. So that's great news. But what we found with X49, as long as people had enough protein in their diet and they were doing resistance training, you could get, even after the age of 70, you could get a remarkable increase in strength and muscle size and reduction in body fat in only 60 days. So the cornerstones of health have to be there, right? The diet and any supplementation needs to be proper. People need to be getting enough rest to recover. And of course, enough exercise to stimulate the change, which is preferably resistance training.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So SP6 has been helping with night sweats. What is it balancing?
Well, that's really interesting because, SP6 was designed to help people with cravings. And as a result, it's designed to balance sugar metabolism and help with energy production in the cell. It does this differently than the energy patches. And of course, it's worn on the left side of the body. Well, interestingly, we have found this effect. And we also found that for women that are in menopause, if they use the carnosine patch at that same point, at the spleen 6 point on the left ankle, you can get a similar effect. The reason is that neurologically, those points connect to the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus is incorrectly thought of as being the brain of the brain, the master control center. It's actually the pineal gland. Pineal gland is going to give instructions to the hypothalamus. Then the hypothalamus is going to carry those out. So the hypothalamus is going to regulate body temperature, immune response, amongst other things, and hormones. So if we stimulate that point on the ankle, we can stimulate the hypothalamus bioelectrically, we can put it into balance, and then people can see a reduction in, let's say, things like hot flashes and night sweats.
Interesting.
So it's a matter of, it's not so much a biochemical response, it is bioelectrically balancing the hypothalamus.
Cool.
Very fascinating. Okay, and so people are asking, that's on the left side that we wear that.
Yes. Yeah, on the left side, and that's to sedate. Yeah, or relax. That's another way to put it.
Relax.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm writing all my notes as we talk here.
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, does copper supplementation enhance the effects of X39?
So that depends on diet. I would strongly encourage everyone to take 2 to 2.5 milligrams of copper daily. Copper glycinate is a good form. Chocolate, there is I have a friend who owns a chocolate factory in Denmark. If you're ever over in Denmark, go to a Peter Bayer cafe, have their hot chocolate. I recommend hot chocolate from Tanzania. It's absolutely amazing. So if you love chocolate, there's copper in chocolate. There's copper in wheatgrass. There's copper in liver, a lot of copper in liver. So it depends on the diet, but the recommendations on this have changed over the years, meaning that if you went back to the 1950s, you'd see that the government was recommending 3 milligrams per day of copper. That's since changed down to 900 micrograms per day, which I think is a mistake. And the reason is that copper is a very, very powerful antiviral. So what we found was, we did a study on this, and I can't share all the details, otherwise I'd be making a claim about our products. But we did a study on COVID in a hospital in New York, and we gave people a copper supplement, and we found that it dramatically reduced COVID symptoms. There was also work done in hospitals. This was developed over in England in Southampton, and what they were doing was they were coating the surface of metals in hospitals with copper, and they were finding that it would kill COVID on contact. It was within seconds that COVID would die in the presence of copper. So my strong opinion is that copper supplementation is a very powerful way to protect health. It's a very powerful antiviral, and it's something that everyone should be doing. And of course, a benefit is that it's going to help facilitate production, and it's needed for production of GHK, right? For GHK-Cu, that is. And of course, we did webinars on COVID as far as what type of supplements people could take to help protect their health. NAC, N-acetylcysteine, which makes glutathione, is critically important. But in any case, if you're looking for a way to support both X39 and X49, as well as overall health, I definitely recommend a copper supplement.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
One question that in conjunction, I've heard that if you have zinc and magnesium, I think at the same time, that it will affect how you absorb copper. Is there something to that?
Yeah, so there is a little bit of an antagonistic relationship between zinc and copper, and there's also a ratio of zinc to copper. Generally speaking, the conventional wisdom is that you need about 7 parts of zinc to 1 part of copper. I'm not sure that there's good literature on this clinically, but it seems like conventionally that works. So this might mean that in supplementation, you might take, depending on the form, you might take 15 milligrams of zinc and 2 milligrams of copper, something like that. I would recommend, to play it safe, that you take your copper supplement maybe during the day. You should take it with food, so take it with breakfast or lunch, and then have your zinc in the evening. Magnesium, easily over 60% of the population is deficient in magnesium. Many times when people don't respond to the patches, it's because they have an electrolyte deficiency in calcium, potassium, or magnesium. Magnesium is, or potassium could be a likely culprit. So I definitely encourage people to take 200, 400 milligrams of something like a magnesium malate or magnesium citrate daily. Make sure they're getting their magnesium. Taking it in the evening is a great idea because magnesium helps the body to relax. And when you're talking about the combination of zinc and magnesium, there's a famous combination. It's called ZMA, zinc magnesium vitamin A, for men, as a way to support testosterone levels. So sometimes men taking just zinc will elevate testosterone. If a man has a zinc deficiency, taking zinc can elevate testosterone, but it wouldn't be, the ultimate. It wouldn't really be your go-to. But yeah, suffice it to say, for zinc, because it plays an important role in immune function, it should be something that everyone makes sure they're getting enough, either through a supplement or through diet by taking things like Brazil nuts. They're pretty rich in zinc and selenium.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Well, we're running down to about the last 15 minutes. I don't know if anybody's having as much fun as I am, but I'm having a ball, David. Thank you. I'm
having a great time.
Good. So the next question is about amino acids, which just rolls perfectly with what we were just talking about. Does amino acids enhance and accelerate the proliferation of stem cells?
Well, amino acids are going to be the building blocks of protein. So when we look at what stem cells do, we could say, let's say the short version is stem cells are going to make collagen. And then, of course, they're going to differentiate into specialized tissues. So if you start with a pluripotent, omnipotent stem cell, it divides into a multipotent stem cell, and then whatever tissue it's going to become, like a liver cell or kidney cell. And but when we look at a mesenchymal stem cell, an MSC, one thing it will do is facilitate the production of collagen, and collagen forms the cytoskeleton of the cell. And we need collagen. Collagen is the most abundant protein in the body, of course, and we need collagen to repair damaged cells. So the collagen is going to come from protein synthesis, and the amino acids are the building blocks. So if we have a diet that's low in protein, even if we're activating stem cells, we won't have the raw materials that are needed to make the collagen to repair the tissue. So the amount of protein we need is going to be dependent both on age and also dependent on, are we trying to build muscle? We trying to be a bodybuilder? We just trying to get a little bit leaner and stronger? Do we have an injury we're trying to heal? And there's a number of different guides with this. So, on the extreme, the higher end, let's say, of protein requirements, if you had someone that was 130 pounds, maybe 130 grams of protein a day on the upper end is a good target. Let's say for a man of 200 pounds, 200 grams a day. And that would be somebody that's actively trying to build a lot of muscle, right? As an example. On the lower side, I once had the opportunity to speak with Bill Pearl, who was a Mr. Universe, great guy, really, really bright. He consulted for NASA and just a super guy. And into his 80s, he was still training 2 hours a day. He would use egg protein in his main source, and he claimed that he won Mr. Universe only on 80 or 90 grams of protein a day, which is pretty extraordinary if true. But he was also very, very gifted genetically. So in any case, I would say when in doubt, lean a little bit higher on the protein intake, and make sure if you're trying to build muscle, make sure you're getting enough leucine in your diet. If you of course, speak with a doctor, make sure that whatever you're doing is right for you. And that's a huge subject.
I know,
but I would say the bottom line is make sure you're getting adequate protein. Otherwise, you're not going to get the results you want.
Okay.
All right. Excuse me. The next question we have is, what is the average percentage of proliferation of stem cells in the bloodstream over a 24-hour period?
Yeah, so that's going to depend. Well, that's actually not something we measure because we don't want to become a drug. And so the claim that we make is that our product elevates copper peptide, and it's going to elevate it about 30 to 40% within the first 24 hours to the first week. So it's a pretty big bump in copper peptide production. One of the things to be really excited about with copper peptide, it's that it's a Yamanaka factor. And so there have been studies that have come out of Korea, and it shows that when you add copper peptide to the skin, and of course, when you're using X39, it elevates copper in the blood, which goes everywhere. We've done this through blood analysis and urine analysis. So, but when you get the copper peptide levels going up in the skin, it reverts the stem cells that are in the skin to pluripotent stem cells. These migrate back into the blood and then get into the body and participate in repair of different damaged tissue in the body. The other thing is that GHK turns on the P63 gene, and this is what's responsible for mobilizing or activating stem cells to proliferate. So I think what I would say is that the measure to go by is that we're seeing 30 to 40% increases in GHK and GHK-Cu levels within 24 hours to a week, depending on the individual.
Beautiful. Cool. So I'm going to do the last question, and I think I'm going to do it about collagen, David.
Okay.
There's a lot of women on this call. A lot of women are aging or experiencing aging, interested in reversing aging, where some people are experiencing crepe skin. All of us are aware collagen sales, outside of X39 are just through the roof these days as the overall population continues to age. Would you recommend a collagen supplementation, or how does the X39 work in elevating our own collagen?
So there's a number of options here. And first, if someone wanted to take a collagen supplement, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong. It's going to be another source of protein, and I'd make sure that the collagen supplement is a good one. There's certainly some products on the market that are not as good. We looked years ago at a Argentinian beef collagen that was very, very interesting. So I would look at it and make sure that it's a good quality. But it is a protein source. It obviously has all of the amino acids that people need to make the collagen that's in the body. Another way to go that's kind of interesting, it's called the master amino acid pattern. And this is a product that's being sold on the market. And master amino acid pattern contains the branch chain amino acids along with a few others. And that can help support collagen production and muscle building that's in the body. So yeah, as I would say, as long as someone's getting adequate protein, and if that happens to be from a collagen supplement, that's okay. As far as the patch goes, we found that X39 will turn on collagen production. Glutathione, keeping the glutathione levels elevated, will repair damaged collagen structures in the body. We found that Nirvana, The Nirvana pills specifically turn on collagen production in the fibroblasts. So that's actually another option. So yeah, what I would be doing is taking like a daily dose of vitamin C to protect the collagen structures in the body, keeping glutathione levels elevated. If your diet's not in place, making sure you take an NAC supplement so you have the raw materials there to make your glutathione. And the same thing with GHKCU. So yeah, that would overall be a good program if someone were, make sure they're getting enough protein in their diet or supplementing with collagen, using X39, making sure that they have their glutathione levels in place, and taking a vitamin C supplement, let's say, 1,000 milligrams a day as an example. That's a whole other subject. Those things will help to protect collagen and foster collagen production in the body.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 What a great, great hour. What a great, great way to finish our first 100 sessions that Sheila and I have done every Tuesday. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for bringing us this amazing product. Thank you for giving us a community that we can be together. We can work together. We can heal the world together. As I always say, we go together. We heal together. We rise together. We thrive together. We all go together. I want to take 1 minute just to thank Sheila for being here with me, for filling in Kathy's shoes. It was a major loss for me and for this whole team. And Sheila stepped right up and just filled the space, and it was big shoes. I want to thank Sandy for getting on this call and helping us in the background, and Beanie, who helps us in the background, and David, who helps us in the background. And then, of course, Patsy, who helps us on the Facebook page. And then we have a whole group of leaders that help us with all of our daily testimonial and all the different calls that we do. We have just a beautiful team of people that are working here to see each and every one of you succeed. David, you have blessed us beyond blessing. Thank you so much. And if you all aren't excited about coming to convention and actually hanging out with David for a few days, you're crazy. You're missing something huge, as you can see. Sheila recorded this. You'll be able to find this on my YouTube page. And thank you so much for blessing us. If we didn't get to your question, I'm so sorry. Sheila and I did everything we could to try and get the best and pull out everybody's questions. It was amazing. So much information. We are so grateful for you, David. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for blessing us. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for being a part of all of our lives. You are a blessing.
Pleasure. The pleasure is mine, Onyx. Thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you. Sheila, maybe you can unmute everybody so everybody can say thank you to David before we go.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, David. I love you.
Thanks, everyone.
We appreciate you.